Good morning, it's Michael Johnson of the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation. I'm here with Councillor Wreath Elliott at the Remembrance Day ceremony. Behind us, you can see the color party forming up. I'm not wearing my mask just for the moment, but I'm going to put it back on because we're going to be talking to Wreath here. So Councillor Wreath Elliott is on the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation Council. There we go, all safe now. So we're going to bring him in to tell us a bit about what we're doing here today.
Yeah, good morning everyone, relatives, Wreath Elliott here. So we're having a small celebration in remembrance of our ancestors and our membership. And I was told by one of our visiting guests from the military that this type of remembrance celebration isn't happening too often across Canada, so this is very unique, and we're keeping with our tradition and honoring our ancestors. So thank you for tuning in, and we're doing our best to honor our veterans in a good way. Oh, miigwech.
Thank you, Wreath. Now, it's a cold and windy day here today. There's a lot of wind, so we do apologize. We've tried to take steps to reduce the wind noise, but we'll try to keep as close to the action as we safely can to make sure that you can hear what's going on. The color parting is forming now, so we're going to turn over to the ceremony. We're grateful for you turning in.
You got it? I got the flag. You got it. Minutes? Yeah, all right.
Give me the cue when it's ready USB. Okay. Give me the cue when it's ready USB.
Okay, do you have the schedule?
No.
So at the point where it says plan display.
Okay. 25?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're live with the Chippewas of Nawash membership today.
Ani.
Could you introduce yourself to us?
Hi there, I'm Master Corporal Santos. I am coming from CFB Borden. I've been serving in the Canadian military for 18 years.
Thank you. We're going to move through the color party now and meet the people that are celebrating our courageous veterans and serving warriors.
Darren Johnston, Cape Croker, United States Marine Corps, 1987-91, Operation Desert Storm.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Do you want to introduce yourself to the community? So this is one of our most famous veterans, Rod Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
We're live on Facebook right now. If you want to say good morning to the membership, wherever they are.
Okay. Good. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Want to introduce yourself to the membership?
Paul Najwan. I was registered with the Hastings and Prince Edward Regiment in Belleville, Ontario, in the A Company, 3rd Platoon. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Want to introduce yourself to the membership?
I'm Constable Ryan Solomon, the Nawash First Nations Police. Just want to say thank you to all the men and women who served for our country.
Thank you. Finally, sir, we're live on Facebook. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Andrew Karsgaard, and I'm here today as part of the Honourable Guard of the Grey and Simcoe Foresters. This was the local regiment that many people from Cape and Saugeen joined during the Second World War. So we are here to acknowledge that service and that sacrifice by members of this community with our regiment.
Thank you. We're grateful for you coming out today.
Thank you.
They're getting ready to start the ceremony now. So let's watch the proceedings.
Just say when I can start.
Color party. Rico, you've got it.
All right. Hooray! Attention! On the left! Quick! Hard! Right wheel. Right wheel.
we'll continue our Remembrance Day ceremony with the laying of the wreath. I'll call on Lila Johnson to lay the silver cross of the wreath. On behalf of the Chief and Council of Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation, I'll lay our community leadership wreath. Jody O'Brien will be laying the wreath on behalf of the Government of Canada, Province of Ontario.
Hooray! Stand at ease!
I'll be laying the wreath on behalf of the Government of Canada.
Jibat Tigok, Nibesh Non, Enjakin Mogoyan. Going Nondagasi, Zambigwezigewat.
Nidwen Ganabo Young.
Inguring, Niki Matsamin, Niki Wamdamin, Bidabang, Ninwa Bungishmun. Niki Zagagag, Niki Zagagog.
Nongwa, Ni, Jong, Shin, Min, Flanders, Gittigani.
Dog Namuk, Mi God Win, Jin Mi Gaziek.
Nin Wint Pugdamon, Waswagan. Jid the Benman, Bidash, Spiming, Jininman.
Gishpin, Ismong Gawi Inda Nabar Seaman.
Much for those words. That was beautiful to hear the language Flanders Fields recited by a number of elders in our community. At this time, I'd like to call up Paul Najwan to provide us with a song. Says his voice is loud enough, but he doesn't need the mic. Oh, Miigwech for that beautiful song. Oh. This time I'd like to call up a guest who's visiting from outside of the community, Mr. Andrew Karsgaard. He's going to be providing some words of encouragement on some of the research that he's conducting in the relationship that he has to this community through the Simcoe, the Gray Simcoe Foresters. So, Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you, Giwadin, and thank you to the Band Council and to you all for your kind invitation for me to join you today in the commemoration of Remembrance Day. It's a great honor for me personally to be here with you here in Nashiming. As you all know, this community has never shirked its responsibilities when the call of duty came. Men from this community fought with the great Tecumseh against the Americans alongside the British in the War of 1812. And they joined up in disproportionate numbers in both the First and the Second World War. During that long time, the history of relations between First Nations and the Crown and with Canada has not been easy. And when I consider the way in which Indigenous people have been treated by my country, I feel ashamed. I am therefore amazed and humbled that despite this treatment, so many from this community volunteered to leave behind their homes and their families and the safety that they lived in order to defend it. Their service and their sacrifice should never be forgotten. I'm here today representing the Gray and Simcoe Foresters. Many of the men from the Cape and from Saugeen who joined in the early days of the Second World War joined the Foresters. In fact, on one occasion, 30 men joined on a single day alone. I wanted to share just one example that shows just how deep the connection is between our regiment and this community. One of the men who fought with Tecumseh against the British was Chief James Nawash, leader of the Nawash band. In fact, leader of the war tribes, the war leader of the Western tribes. He became friends with a white man, a certain Mr. Rutherford, years after the war. 100 years after that, his grandson was Colonel Rutherford, the commanding officer of the Gray and Simcoe Foresters. And in the regiment, serving with that second Colonel Rutherford, the grandson, was the great-grandson of James Nawash, the chief, Joe Nawash. So multiple generations serving their communities down the generations. I think that's a great example to cherish. The men and women from this community served in every branch of the military in the Second World War. After leaving the Gray and Simcoe Foresters, they fought in Italy, France, Holland, and Germany. They were captured and held as prisoners of war. Many of them returned to difficult lives in Canada, not properly acknowledged or rewarded by the country they had volunteered to serve. Today, I'm proud to be able to lay a leaf here on behalf of our local regiment to acknowledge and celebrate the service of these brave men and women and the strong bonds which exist between our nations. Times change and political priorities change and opinions and tastes change. But some things stay the same, such as the values we hold in common, values of service to our communities and to others. So we must always remember those who serve and be forever grateful to them. And at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we shall remember them. Miigwech.
Miigwech for those kind words, Andrew, and sharing of that knowledge and that history. And always appreciate having allies of our band and Indigenous people as well. So please do lay your wreath, and I'll call up next our Ogama to say some closing remarks. We wanted to keep this ceremony as short as possible, given the current conditions that we're faced with. So Ogama, Great Najwan.
Bonjour. I'm very proud of this community. We continue to come out to show the honor and respect that is so deserving of our veterans in all these wars. I'm reminded of the service of the veterans who several times through the year, I'm reading Crazy Dave. There was a chapter written by Basil Johnson who referred to when Norman McLeod had gotten hit when he was outside of the trench. And two soldiers went to get him, and those soldiers were Gregor Kijik and Peter Najwan, and who later became my grandparents. There was another story shared in a post this year about the last returning soldiers to the community. Canadian Women Auxiliary Corps member Claire Tikijik, who was my mother, and Pat McLeod was the last returning male from the Second World War, returning in April of 1946, who was my uncle. We have ties on so many fronts in this community. There's no family that was left without a member serving, and serving honorably. And when you have a community where 9 out of 10 men enlisted in 2 world wars, I mean, that is a record in itself. So I realize it's very windy and getting cool to benefit all. I'll keep this short, but there's so much to be proud of in this community. And I'd be amiss not to thank Councillor Gawain Elliott for the work he's done to make sure that this Remembrance Day celebration carried on. And I'd like to thank a friend and mentor, Lillian Najwan, who in April started reminding us what are we going to be doing for the veterans, knowing that COVID was circulating. And so Lillian, thank you for those pleasant reminders, and Gawain, thank you so much, and thank you, Michael, for doing the video, and Jody for doing the sound. And Terry, put your hand up, Terry. You've done so much coming into the community for the last 4 years through the Revel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief Butch. That concludes our Remembrance Day. And Rico, if you want to dismiss your color party, we'll end it on that note.
Well, that's the end of the Remembrance Day ceremony from the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation. If you're able to join us today, we're really grateful that you came. We're grateful to our veterans and our ancestors that served so bravely for our First Nation and for Canada. We hope you've enjoyed this, and we're happy that we've been able to include the community this way. Miigwech, and have a great Remembrance Day.